Holy cow! I was thoroughly overwhelmed by everything that happened at BronyCon. I know that this is only the second convention I have ever attended and the first since I had begun making YouTube videos, but I was honestly expecting most everything that ended up happening there, and I still felt blown away. Before I get started, I want to thank Toon for providing me with an extensive number of photos taken throughout the convention to use in this video. Now, I want to start by saying that going to BronyCon for my first major convention would have been quite the miserable experience for me if I didn't know anyone there, or more importantly, if no one knew me. After all, I prefer to avoid large crowds on a regular basis and also tend to be completely silent in group conversations. But thankfully, there were a lot of people looking forward to seeing me there, particularly those among the reviewing community. And that's how I spent the majority of my time, actually, being with friends and fans, and enjoying a lot of one-on-one conversation. Now, I don't want anyone to think that that is the only way to enjoy being at a convention. For those of you who are normally outgoing and social, you can very easily thrive in this kind of environment and have a great time, even if you don't know anyone there. But for those of you who are much more introverted and have a hard time adjusting to large crowds and meeting new people, like myself, then my first recommendation is to make sure you have friends and or family to go with, or even just meet you there. Preferably those who can enjoy the fandom as much as you do. The second thing that I'd recommend to everyone is to try and get at least some idea on what kind of events you'd like to attend before getting there. There simply isn't enough time to do everything, especially when it comes to meeting with the show staff. I wasn't intending on getting any autographs and just wanted to poke my head in and see what all the VAs were up to. Turns out to just even be in the room, I needed a voucher that people had been waiting in line for hours to get. If you do intend on meeting with the show staff, be prepared to get in early and wait a very long time for your opportunity. I only attended 2 events during my day and a half at the convention, though I suppose I might have been able to do a couple more if I wasn't focused on spending time with the other reviewers. When I arrived at the convention, my first stop was the vendor hall, and my goodness, there was practically everything you can imagine available for purchase there. Rows upon rows of impressive artwork, custom figurines, every MLP comic along with some of the people who created them, plushies of all shapes and sizes, the list goes on and on. I felt as though I was drowning in a sea of merchandise. Though it didn't take long for me to run into both Toon and Eliora, whom I recognized quite quickly, and they me just as quickly. I must say, these two have become quite comfortable in this kind of environment as they've been going all over the country to these conventions. Also bumped into Voice of Reason while wandering about, and it didn't take long for us to start coming up with more topics for future videos. We'll see whether or not those ideas pan out. I will say that it was very helpful when we managed to find an area where most of the reviewers were gathering throughout the weekend. I met up with Digibro, Past Analysis, Drowning in Horseshoes, T-Bap, and Tommy Oliver. I did find it a bit unusual that the first thing Digi says to me is that I have a swagger to my walk. Even Tommy Oliver tells me that I'm like a man on a mission whenever I'm walking from place to place. Something that I hadn't really noticed about myself before, but I guess you learn something new every day. Meeting with Ink Rose was a bit surprising. Not that she was anything different from how she is in her videos, as she's still a very positive and outgoing person, even when surrounded by strangers. What was surprising, though, is that I spent more time talking to her mother than I did with Ink. It was actually rather intriguing getting an outsider's perspective on both the Brony community and the convention itself. I may end up making a video inspired by that conversation someday. KP was actually wearing some Discord horns and ears the whole time to make it easier for others to recognize her. I have to say that it was a very effective addition, while also being a very minimal costume. I will say that Josh Scorcher is very much the same Joker in real life as he is online. He was eating up all the attention, while trying to be even wackier than what people were requesting of him. And during our reviewers' luncheon at the Cheesecake Factory, he couldn't help but poke fun at my being at the head of the table when I had a pensive look. There I was trying to be a pleasant host, and Josh tells everyone that I must be scheming to take over the world. It's a real nice change to be surrounded by the people I've been working with online for so long. The last activity I took part in was a group photo that included all the reviewers who were at the luncheon. And while I very much would have liked to spend the rest of Saturday at the convention, I was exceedingly happy with how everything turned out. I want to thank everyone who has helped me to come this far with my channel, as I look forward to attending more conventions in the future. I wish to express the most sincere appreciation to my Patreon contributors, as this trip would not have happened without their generosity. I have done my utmost to be worthy of their support, and shall continue to make even better content in the coming months. But now I would like to hear from each of you. For those of you who did attend BronyCon, I would love to read about your experiences there. For those of you who didn't get the chance to attend this year, do you think going to a future convention might be worthwhile? Why or why not? As for me, I suppose the biggest adjustment I had to make was getting used to all the random fans walking up to me and requesting an autograph or have me pose for a photo. I must have had several dozen within just a day and a half. Although I do have to admit that the strangest request for an autograph was writing Dr. Wolf on a pair of suspenders that had also been signed by Tabitha St. Germain, whom you may recognize as the voice of a couple of noteworthy characters in MLP. I will not be forgetting BronyCon anytime soon. Until next time, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.